listening to CaveRadioBroadcasting.com. The words and opinions you are about to hear are of the hosts and do not reflect the management of CaveRadioBroadcasting.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to Down a Rabbit Hole. Today is Thursday, October 20th, year of our Lord 2016. You're listening to a Gen Pop media production. We have a special guest with us today.
Well, thank you.
I wanted to throw that out. We have two.
Special
guests.
I'm glad I'm special.
We have two.
Oh, you were
special
talking about
guests.
me. I'm sorry.
No, actually, I was forgetting about Nancy, and you saved me. I appreciate it. We got Dave's sister Nancy in here. How you
Hello,
doing, Nancy?
everyone.
Nice. Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole.
Get that mic right in your mouth. I'm
Thank
not going to
you.
make any jokes, but
Okay.
you know what I'm saying.
I don't know you well enough, or I would.
That was.
You guys can
kinda
make
creepy,
whatever
Dave.
jokes as far as, if she's cool with it, I'm cool with it. But
I'm cool
brother,
with
I
it.
don't know. There's something about making
Yeah.
dick jokes with your sister that just doesn't.
Yeah,
It's a bit weird.
It's
yeah.
kind of wrong.
It's a bit
Unless
weird.
you feel it's okay.
You might identify with that.
If you identify with sister dick jokes.
Yeah, then it's fine.
It
Because
might
who are
be
we to spread hate speech?
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty soon there'll be a new gender class of that.
Yeah.
And
Well,
bathrooms for people like that.
Dave and I were having an interesting
God.
conversation today.
Yeah.
About what?
I don't know if we want to go into that.
Well, we can. I mean, it's just more indication that we're
We're dead?
just burning, dude. It's so bad. Yeah, my buddy Photo pointed out to me the concept.
Friend of the show.
Friend of the show and a
Friend
really
of the
good friend of
show.
mine, and about Miley Cyrus came out and identified herself as a pansexual. Now I'm not hating. I'll just put the disclaimer out for all the sensitive.
Now, this is one of the 56
whatever.
authorized
Whatever. It's-
classes of human beings.
I mean, apparently, like all the other ones aren't going far enough, so they have to just completely reject the binary notion of gender. I guess there's no
Right.
boys and girls. It just doesn't matter. Whatever. So it's pretty much whatever. And he showed me some of the stuff. He's like, you'll never guess what one. And it's actually on coffee mugs and stuff. One of their logos is a rainbow-colored pentagram.
Oh. Dude, they don't even beat around the
No,
bush
they just are
anymore.
right out there with it. And again, I'll put the disclaimer out there for all the, I don't want to hurt anyone's widow feelings or anything, but come on, really?
In 1896, Pope Leo XIII had that vision where he saw Jesus Christ and Satan having that conversation where Satan asked for more time. He said, give me another 100 years and I'll turn your own church against you. Jesus essentially said, go ahead and try it. So that would later become known as the Satan century, essentially the 1900s. And if you look at that century,
Certainly
and by the way,
related
that was a pope that put this in writing. So this isn't a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
He's got some credibility that he may have actually had this vision. Maybe he made it up, but I suspect
Whatever,
there's some
yeah.
truth about it. Anything that is an abomination in the Bible has flourished in popularity in the last 100 years. And if you follow which foundation, where the money comes from for things like, now, because we've been so socialized, I'm going to sound like a hater when I say this.
You will, and you are already, so.
But when it
Probably
comes to women's lib, when it comes to recognition of homosexuals, when it comes to abortion, and I could just go on down the list. I was just talking about this with my sister in the car on the way up here. You want to find out if this is part of the Luciferian agenda that's it's very easy to find out if the Rockefeller Foundation has invested in it. It probably is.
Yeah.
And they are behind all of these, these programs that are, we are taught to view as social progress, not realizing that we're
It's progress.
It's
we're
progress,
progressing
all right.
towards the end of the world, and shit's gonna be blowing up soon, or in 40 years, based on Howard's guess.
Yeah.
Or tomorrow, based on Dave's guess.
12.5 hours.
Hang on. What time is it? You
I
got a
don't date
prediction of the
set,
end
but
again?
on September 25th, before we forget, 3 sponsors.
I don't date set, but on September 25th.
I know that's the joke you always make,
Yeah,
and I'm going to use your favorite word on this episode yet again.
Lord.
But there, I want to get a couple things in before we really get into the meat
go
of
ahead.
this. DCDfoundation.org.
That'd be the DCD.
Yeah, I got to
Thank
put in
you.
the.
Thank you.
Or if we're a college football player, it would be the
Yeah.
DCD.
If you're looking for a good place to spend to invest some money that will actually get to people that need it, I can personally vouch that the DCDfoundation.org will get that done. Earn yourself some bonus points in case you need them on the big day.
Or just make yourself feel better because you did something nice.
That too.
Yeah.
There's a sore lack of people just doing things because it's the nice thing to do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
My son apologized to me last night. I don't mean to railroad this, but we were walking out of a store, and I'm looking around for him, and he comes running up. He was like, "I'm sorry, Dad. I held the door for that lady." And I'm like, "Dude, don't ever apologize for holding the door for a lady."
Don't you ever do that. Don't waste your time on them.
Don't ever apologize for holding the door for a lady. Good job, buddy. I'm glad I waited for you.
I'm teaching the same things to Brady now. Speaking of the kids, inkonpaperprinting.com. If you guys need a good place to get stuff printed, you should know that web address. Also sponsored by eldercarecares.com. If you or a loved one needs help in your home, taking care of the elderly, like making life comfortable there, give the girls at Eldercare a call. I just visit their website, eldercarecares.com. And as usual, Howard's all excited. We've been saying this is a Gen Pop media production for weeks now. Shit. Months. Am I swearing?
Yeah.
You swore again.
I'll edit that out. This looks awesome. Did you guys see this?
No. I spent all day doing that instead of work.
Eric to put it up?
Yeah, why don't you... Hey, Eric, can you go to genpopmedia.com?
So the website we've been...
Talking like I'm not even here. Hey, why don't you ask him? Like he couldn't have asked me.
Well, he's kind of highbrow.
Will you address... There's a noise I heard coming from the other end of this table.
Will you please talk to the little people who work for us?
Now I forgot this brilliant point. Oh, so the brilliance is we've been talking about... We've been sending people to Gen Pop Media for a long time. There we go.
Look at that. It's all pretty.
And you actually have somewhere to go now. Howard, that looks
so sweet.
Dynamite.
I couldn't stand the old thing, so I decided to redesign it.
Very cool.
So I can get the show if I go there?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
There's multiple places now.
We're working out a few kinks. We're working out a few kinks with SoundCloud. Our newest episodes keep ending up on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, I don't get that.
But Dan's working on it. We're working on it with Dan, and it's pretty cool. It's got the links to our video channel. I'm going to put some more stuff on there. You can go by support the Anatomy of a Great Deception, the movie that we made together.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Big time.
When will this show be on?
It's usually up within 24 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I put it as soon as you
Eric's
guys get
here,
off
it'll be
there.
up tonight.
Well, it'll be on Cave Radio tonight.
No, he promised me outside. It'll be up tonight.
It'll be on Cave Radio, and I can't promise SoundCloud. I don't do SoundCloud.
Cave Radio,
Dan does
because
SoundCloud.
we wanted to listen to it, and holy cow, we sound like that on the air.
Yeah.
I
we
know.
do.
You sound weird on the air. You don't.
It's a little sobering.
Is something off with the mics tonight? Something feels weird.
No, I think
Just
it's
you.
fine.
I'm good. It's you.
Just you.
It's the first show I've done sober. That's probably
Yeah,
why.
there you go.
A few other things I want to mention, not to get them out of the way, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Want to give praise to God, Jesus, all the angels that allow this whole operation to work. We're only here for them. Remember, it is not down the conventional hole. It is down the rabbit hole. Don't trust us. We don't want you to carry forward a mistake that we may have made. You got to see this stuff with your own eyes. Otherwise, it just doesn't mean that much. But what we talk about here are very real things happening in our world that impact you, whether you realize it or not, will impact you, not just for your life, but for all of eternity. Not to sound melodramatic. But the point is, going back to slogans, you got to get off your butt and do something about it, because there are no more secrets. There is just ignorance, which is probably going to be the only quote I'm putting in that book that is not of someone famous.
Someone infamous, maybe.
But I'll tell you this. If you think you're going to get the truth by sitting on your ass on a couch and having the news stations come and beat your little television door down to give it to you, you're the one that's crazy. This truth is something you need to go look for. And our hope, obviously, is that people do. If enough people do in this nation, we actually might have a chance to save it. And that, without it,
it's an uphill
we
battle.
are most likely doomed. Yeah, it was.
No.
I had a great quote today. I was watching a piece on Gore Vidal. Do you guys know who that is? Familiar with the name?
No.
Familiar with the name, but I do get it mixed up with Vidal Sassoon.
He was
Makes
an
my hair
American
look
writer. He
confused.
used to face off with, what was the guy's name? They would always duke it out. William F. Buckley.
Okay.
Television personality, intellectual, and
Screenplay writer, too. He also got involved in politics.
Yeah, he ran for office a couple times. Interesting guy, absolutely. Andy Warhol kind of type, like those days. And I actually he said something which I put down. This may end up in the 401 quotes book we've got coming out soon. But his quote was this: "Once a country is habituated to liars, it takes generations to bring back the truth," which is what you were just saying. It takes, because it's got to be, our children need to grow up and be able to teach.
What do you think the odds were that he watched a Hillary Clinton campaign commercial before he made that quote?
Well,
Well, he's dead,
I think
so-
he died a couple years ago.
He's dead, so
Okay.
But
4 years ago he died.
you know the song that
Maybe it
we
was
play.
Obama then.
You know who Gore Vidal is? If you want Eric to go to the opening intro song we play, the "Pay Attention" by whatever that's. Right at the end of the song, we start to hear a monologue. See if you can pick that up. That's Gore Vidal's voice on that song.
Oh, okay. I never hear the end of the song.
He's the one that coined the term. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a conspiracy analyst.
Dude, he wrote 30 books, novels, 10 plays,
TV shows.
I'm sorry, he wrote 30 novels. He wrote another 20 nonfiction books, probably a dozen screenplays.
Wow.
This guy was freaking
Prolific.
all over the place.
He's
Yeah.
busy.
Look, artists like that have been replaced by Eminem and Jay-Z. Really. I mean, that's what... This guy was all over the television in the late 60s, 70s. He was very good friends with John F. Kennedy.
Okay.
A lot of behind the scenes about how the world really works. He was part of the ruling elite, and he basically came to the conclusion these guys are all mad. They're crazy. I'm going to get out. And he got out and started speaking against them, doing it through his novels, through his...
Okay.
It would turn more into direct commentary. He's very much like the Noam Chomsky. So, why was it telling? Oh, it's going to take a lot of generation. Yeah, it's going to take a long time for us to fix this.
I get upset, because I mean we're getting close to the election, and it's kind of the 11th hour for me to try and wake some of these morons up. You know who you are if you're listening. That are just...
And any chance we had of actually having you listen to us just went down.
Yeah,
No, I'm just
whatever,
kidding.
I don't want them
Actually,
to listen
everyone
to
always
us.
assumes, well, I can't be the moron they're talking
Yeah,
about.
exactly. No, I'm not talking about you. I'll start naming names. But it just drives me crazy that I'm having discussions with people that I consider to be, it's not that I consider, they are intelligent people. And then in their next breath, they'll talk about voting for Hillary Clinton. How can you... I mean, does anybody ever fact check anything that monster says?
No.
I was joking with my wife last night. I'm like, how do you, I use the old joke. How do you know Hillary Clinton's lying? She's like, I don't know. Does she like blink an eye or something? I'm like, no, she's talking. I'm like, everything out of her mouth is a lie. I'm watching the presidential debate for like a half hour. That's all I could stand. And she's just blatantly lying, lie after lie after lie. Donald Trump brings up something. I mean, granted, okay, he's a blowhard. Okay, as a human, the guy needs some Dale Carnegie courses, but just lie after lie after lie. And he brings up something valid, and she lies about it, and then he tells the truth, a verifiable true fact, and she lies, and she doesn't even skip a beat.
Well, she knows that the vast majority of our public.
No one's going to go look. They're not going to check it.
They won't. They won't do it. And who is it that checks it? Those are the people that all of us, the ones that get off their butts to actually investigate for themselves any of these topics. Their eyes start to open. And I do think this goes back to how Jesus always responded to the disciples when they would ask him, what are going to be the sign of your second coming? And he wouldn't answer that question to begin with. He would always say, don't be deceived, don't be deceived, don't be fooled. It was one of his biggest commandments. And, from our perspective now, we see how this worldwide deception is unfolding. It's so layered, so intricate, and so dangerous to each individual person. If you don't understand you are in a spiritual war, you're losing badly.
And a lot of these people are like people of faith. These people are like devout Christians, and they're just, no, I'm going to vote for Hillary. 11 years ago, Donald Trump said something very nasty. When
what's
he was
black is white.
supposedly-
It's been turned upside down.
I know.
But how can a self-professed Christian, and I hate you know this, you guys hate. I don't like to hate, but I hate the term Christian because it has too much, it's too broad, and there's a lot of Christians that shouldn't even be under that banner because if you support someone
I'm talking about the 9%.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I'm talking about
7% actually.
Okay, 7%.
So 93% of Christians will say, "Oh, I'm going to vote for a candidate that is in favor of abortions and a favor of pretty much everything that is against God." How can you still call
how can you be a Christian? And that's what bothers me really with a couple of these that I happen to care a great deal about. And it's like they're union members, okay? So they won't even consider not voting Democrat because they're union members.
I mean, a lot of them are like that.
It's like, how can you be a Christian? So what have you chosen? What do you really worship? Do you worship God? Do you follow Christ? Or are you voting Democrat because you think they're going to protect your pension? Because they're not. They're going to euthanize you. They're going to decide you're too old to get this health care that you've worked your whole life for. Oh, this treatment? Yeah, if you were 69, but you're 72. And they're going to do it with a straight face.
Yeah, but people still won't believe that that's where it's headed.
But that is where, it's
no, we know this
now. It's happening.
We know this, and it will actually transpire, and people still won't believe it.
Right, it'll happen to people they know, and they won't believe it.
Until it's too late. And this is how it always goes. I mean, it's hard to say this, especially on this show, but if you just remove the spiritual aspect out of it and look at it purely from the standpoint of society, government, philosophy,
right,
and just look at the pattern, this has never changed. It's not going to change. In fact, what's going on here now in this country is really trying to tear it down because, and they've been working on it for a long time, but they can't stand, and it's really easy for people like the Hillary Clintons, the Barack Obamas, these people to say these things they say and do these things they do because they will never ever have to live under the circumstances of the things they do.
Right.
So a person like Hillary Clinton, right? If she makes it into the White House, it doesn't matter what she does because her kids, her grandkids, her posterity forever will never have to deal with this.
Right.
They're not the hazard class. They're not in real life. So they go to private schools. They have Secret Service the rest of their existence. They're protected everywhere. They don't have to live under these rules that they pass down to us. They never will. So it's really easy for her to go out there and peddle her hard left, ridiculous agenda. And what's really frightening to me is how people they just swallow it up. They just eat it up. Yeah, she's calling for the largest jobs program since World War II. And people are like, yeah, do you really know what that means? What you're cheering about? Do you really understand what this means? no one even thinks that this isn't growth. You can't take $5 from one pocket and stick it in the other pocket and call that growth. Yeah, the left pocket's richer than the right pocket, but you still only got $5. And that's ignoring who skims off the top.
No, I just go, go right back to...
It's nonsense.
I go right back to Bill's first term. I bought it. It's the only time I voted Democrat. I thought he was going to make a difference. He was talking about taking people on welfare and getting them job training and making them work and it's like, it was all crap.
Well, he made a difference, all right, which is why China owns us.
Yeah, he made a difference.
So, this is the whole thing. So, I guess that's the real unfortunate part is you could say, how could you as a Christian, I say, even take it a step further than that and include everybody that's in these borders in this, is how can you as an American buy that garbage?
Well, but people are not, the reason why it offends me with these people who are saying they are Christians but voting for their true God, which is the almighty dollar. The reason why that offends me is because most Americans don't care much about being American. Usually if someone is willing to take the time, read the Bible, to go to church, to dedicate their life to Christianity, to try and live a good life, which these people are trying to do, obviously it means a lot to them. So that's why it's even more offensive to me because, being American, there aren't a whole lot of people that are very passionate about. There's a group. There's a few of us, But I'll be honest with you, I'm way more passionate about being a Christian than I am about being an American.
Yeah, but you should maybe equalize those because there's places that you'll die for that.
I understand that.
So
I'm not in one of those places right now, though.
No, you're not, but you might be soon.
That's one of the reasons.
Well, they're working on it.
Yeah, you might be soon.
I became a big fan of Mike Pence when he opened up his speech at the RNC, Republican National, and it was, I may get the last descriptor wrong, but he basically said, I'm a Christian, American...
Conservative.
Yeah, and it's something like in that order.
Yeah.
And I mean...
Yes.
And I'm like,
Christian, American,
you can actually
Republican.
trust someone that's their mind, for real. Yeah. So I'm glad we're talking about Hillary Clinton. Hi, Kat. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, no mic.
No mic for Kat. Yeah, try that one.
Eric's probably got him dead.
Hello?
No. Bummer.
You can either share
Use
one with
Eric's
Howard or...
Until he comes back. His should be on, I think.
Yeah, you could do that.
I'd turn it on, but I'll mess something up.
Yeah,
again.
I don't know the channel.
I'll just shut down the whole grid.
Do?
I haven't been trained yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
There you go.
Hi.
What's up, Kat?
That's better.
I can have a lot of fun.
Damn,
And
Eric.
Kat
Don't
is
touch
my-
anything.
Kat, this is my sister Nancy.
Hi, Nancy.
We said hi when she walked
Nancy, Kat, Nancy. So we're talking Hillary Clinton. Now, before
Gross.
we were talking about Hillary, we'd already decided. I've been wanting to get my sister on the show. I've told a lot of stories about her, about how she repelled the idea of 9/11 being an inside job. And then challenged her one day beyond 9/11. We were talking about Sandy Hook. And I think you guys know the story. I'm at the point, and if you don't remember it this way, speak up. I'm like, well, Sandy Hook was an inside job too, and your first reaction to me was, oh, this again, Dave. Now 9/11, okay, but now we're going to go down Sandy Hook, and I'm like, smile, whatever. She comes home for Christmas break 3 days later, and her first words out of her mouth, oh my God, Dave, Sandy Hook was an inside job.
Absolutely.
Tell us. Where are you? And actually, I'm going to probably learn some stuff right now. But we're going to be talking. Sorry about that. I wanted to finish. We're going to be talking today WikiLeaks, Hillary Clinton, and a few other things along those lines. So
I can talk all day about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
I could too. I'm so surprised that I've gotten about 5 people who have never voted or have voted Democrat who are going to vote for Trump.
Good for you.
And that's the only thing I can do. I do donate money to him.
Now, why are you for Trump versus Clinton? What's
okay. There's so many things I can say, but we talked about this on the way here. Something that Hillary did, and she caused this false narrative about Trump rallies, about inciting violence at them, and that he is violent and he causes violence at his rallies. And I actually went to one in Arizona. And it was calm as anything, but you did see crisis actors, people that you could tell were hired.
How could you tell?
Because I saw one woman start a fight with this old lady over nothing, and then she had the same fight with another group of people at a different part of the... And you can tell, okay? And my girlfriend was with me. And then it turns out that the DNC, Democratic National Committee, hire these groups.
Yeah, did you like the undercover camera work? Where the recruiters for the Democratic National Party were literally saying your job will be to go to Trump rallies and cause fights, cause a disturbance.
And what they do is they get mentally ill, homeless people, whoever will pop off, and they send them in there, and next thing you know, the news is saying he incites violence. And that's been going on now for like 10 months since he's been doing rallies.
Well, that's been going on since the formation of the CIA.
You're right.
Now regular people are starting to notice because it's actually on the news. They can't.
Not on all the news shows, but yeah, it is on the news.
It almost can't be ignored now. In fact,
it can't be.
The top of the pyramid isn't the DNC.
No.
The top of the pyramid is the Clinton campaign.
Well, the top.
No, I mean that's what's on these. This is they directly implicate them. So the flow of money is what's important. The Clinton campaign gives money to the DNC.
Right.
And the DNC gives money to Democracy Partners. And then Democracy Partners goes to some other group, and then they go out, and these are like the dark arts, and they're the ones, they're literally hiring these people, but the money is funneled directly from the Clinton campaign, and this should be all over the place, but it's not. Just like the WikiLeaks stuff. In fact, it's so far gone now that the whole narrative is WikiLeaks is BS. Right?
Look, this almost got Nixon impeached. This might have gotten him thrown in prison. It certainly led to his resignation of office, which was simply manipulating your opponent's political campaign. I mean, it's illegal on so many levels.
This is a direct violation of FEC regulations, so it's prosecutable crime for sure.
Well, she's racking up a list. In fact, I studied WikiLeaks, and some of the revelations that have come out just in the last few weeks.
Dude,
it was a good exercise. Does everyone here know what WikiLeaks is?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You ran across someone today who did not know.
Yeah, it was last night. Yes.
All right, for the listeners who might have questions about WikiLeaks, what is it? And if anyone has anything to add or to this, pipe in. It's essentially a journalistic clearinghouse. It's a website started by Julian Assange in 2006 to basically do the very job that the world's journalisms are supposed to be doing. Now, in this country, journalism is the only institution, the only business that is protected by the Constitution. Now, that's for a reason. But they haven't been doing their job. I mean, you can go back to the days of...
Oh, they're doing what they're paid to do.
Well, they're doing... they're doing exactly. They're going to incite problems at rallies, but they're not doing what the Constitution tasked them to do. And it's leading to the destruction of our nation.
It is definitely a big hammer.
So to tie Gore Vidal and the 60s together, so as the 60s are unfolding, there was this initial counterculture move where the intelligentsia of the United States saw the fact that we're slipping into like a fascism. That's where business and religion kind of get merged into one. Now, that might not make sense when you say it like that, but believe me, the big business that is behind the GDP of this country has perhaps not written out on some annual report, but at the end of the day, the owners of these companies, their God they praise is Lucifer, by and large. Not saying all of them. So you've got talk shows in the 70s between William F. Buckley and Gore Vidal talking about what's going to be happening to this nation soon. And now we are, and Kennedy's being assassinated because he was trying to stop what this thing is. And you've got our most trusted news organizations like the Washington Post and New York Times that are stonewalling stories that they should be printing, such as the Pentagon Papers by Daniel Ellsberg, which he came across when he was at the Rand Corporation, which basically was the truth of Vietnam. We're just testing some weapons. We don't really need to be. There was a lot of other revelations about what was really happening in Vietnam, what was sold to us by the military. And so media was already apprehensive about they already had pretty good stranglehold on information back then. And it continued getting worse and worse until, in my opinion, WikiLeaks is one of the salvations literally of the world.
Agreed.
I mean, we are in, and for me, that is a absolute milestone in this spiritual war we're in, because if you understand the whole demonic setup across the globe, most people don't even know we're playing chess. We're one or two moves away from a checkmate, and you don't see, what is going to fix this. It's now a few years after 9/11. People are starting to understand, holy cow, our government is so evil. Not government as a whole, that too broad of a term. It's like Christian. There are some rulers that hold the real power in this nation that are so evil, they would conduct a false flag, let 3,000 Americans die that day, lie to the public about it, then cover it up as another link in a long, drawn-out coup. Like, we're about to lose our government.
Well, it's I would argue that we lost it.
Well, some would argue we lost it in 1913 with the Federal Reserve Act.
Yeah,
it's just going to take 100 years for it to
we
show
lost it.
up.
And you're seeing it with the media bias you're talking about and the corruption, because essentially it's interesting you bring up fascism, because what fascism actually is when government controls business and labor, and then no opposition to that is allowed, which was the help me out. Italy,
Benito
Nazi,
Mussolini.
Mussolini, yes,
Yeah.
fascismo, right? Now this is what we're seeing here is very close to state-run media, which is fascist in nature.
We're on the border of it.
We're right there.
I mean,
yeah. So we're right. I mean, to where.
Well, did you see the latest thing with Obama, where he's talking about clamping down on the internet because they,
Yep.
I tweeted about it. I actually got off my butt and tweeted something.
Well, that's the final straw. That's the final step. So we have, in my opinion anyway, is we do have state-run media, but there's still some opposition, which in a truly fascist environment, opposition's not allowed and must be squelched because the government has to control all this. So
it's one reason we do what we do, because we are that alternative, and the more of us there are, and this is spreading like wildfire. They can't attack them all. Like, we are up against 5 giants: CNN, ABC, MSNBC, Disney. You can,
it goes, yeah. There's
and underneath
add
them,
12 to that.
Look, and these guys, they own anything that will be on that cable channel,
Yeah.
even religious shows. I understand
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
they're going to control the dialogue. So they'll present, Hegelian dialectic, Howard. Fox News is the quote-unquote news channel for Trump, and CNN is the news channel for Clinton.
Clinton News Network.
Yeah,
Clinton
or the
News
Communist
Network.
News Network.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what the ultimate final ruler around here is going to be no one from any of these parties. It's going to ultimately be the Antichrist, and he's going to be ruling us as one of many nations, as a part of a one-world government. At least that's what was predicted in the Bible, and it is unfolding in obvious ways. Like, if you can't see this, then I think you're also one of those people that were talked about in the Bible, that the God of this world, the devil, I suppose, is who they're referring to, but certainly that would be allowed by the God upstairs, is going to allow this veil to be left over lots of people's eyes so that they're going to get sucked in by this big deception that's coming.
Well, this and the WikiLeaks, the stuff that's come out, and I still, it blows the top of my head off. What it is that Hillary Clinton's vision actually is, and that is a free hemisphere, a free trade hemisphere. Does anyone even understand what that means? All right, keep in mind that this is all their whole motivation is always feelings and emotion. It's never facts, never data. It's never anything that makes any sense. So what makes it, I would say, and I think everyone would agree, that the United States is a unique entity. It's very unlike any other country ever formed, and probably that ever will be formed. What keeps us that way is a border. Well, I mean, when you erase that, then...
Well, look, God, he went out of his way to say that I have borders in nations for a reason. Like, I'm the one that wants the borders. And it's not even God's enemy, it's our enemy, but the enemy wants no borders. You can start to see where people fall
right.
philosophically just by, what their campaign is about. But to finish on WikiLeaks, so this thing starts in 2006 by Julian Assange. I mean, he's the publisher. He was the founder. They start putting out the types of works like the Pentagon Papers, things that the public's not supposed to see. Now, the ruling elite, the people on the media, the ones on CNN and Fox, now they claim we're not supposed to see this because we don't want the Russians to know our secrets. Folks, there are no secrets between the Russians and the United States. None. We build a B-29, they build a B-29. Nazis invent the jet, we're inventing the jet. That it is meant to be balanced on purpose because the people that pull the strings are on both sides of this. It shouldn't be a surprise to you that the people that planned and financed, the people that financed World War II, their same bloodlines, their same organizations had written down the plans for the following 3 world wars in 1871. So if you think World War II was about, Japan invaded us and Germany, the Nazis, you have to reconcile your viewpoint with the fact that World War II was in the planning 70 years before it happened, at least. And I've actually found some evidence that it was in the planning as early as 1840. So there's something greater at work, obviously. The information is not to protect us from the Russians or the Russians. That is playing on the stupidity of where we are today. So now you hear people talk about Julian Assange and WikiLeaks as, these evil things. But they're not putting us at any disadvantage with the Russians. They are putting the elite, the ruling class, at a disadvantage to the people. And it goes with, I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said, when the government fears, when people fear the government, you have tyranny. And when the government fears the people, you have freedom. But I'm just curious, I want to see a raise of hands. Is anyone here afraid of our government?
Absolutely.
I am.
As you should be.
I mean, there's nothing getting shot, framed for a crime. And I've always said, if you ever read that I committed suicide or that I molested some boy or something like that,
hey,
did
man,
not.
You're not it's not a lonely crowd. The very people that organized this government were afraid of it. So but I didn't used to be afraid of it. But we are, and I've said this before, it feels like we're Nazi Germany circa 1935. Couple more things on WikiLeaks, the organization, and then I'll suggest, tell me what you guys think. We take a little break, we come back, and let's talk about some of the unbelievable revelations that have come out through several WikiLeaks document dumps.
Absolutely.
We should.
Yeah, I want to let Nancy do her thing.
That'd be cool.
I see you every week.
Where do you see me?
No, I see him every week.
Oh.
Last time I set up a camera.
That was a Freudian slip. Yeah.
How the video record some stuff.
I mean,
regarding the WikiLeaks, it's not getting enough press, and it's very frustrating to even hear a lot of the items coming out, and no one's covering it. And I don't know, at the end of the day, if it's even going to get to the United States, like the most people who are going to vote.
Yeah.
But one thing on WikiLeaks I thought was most interesting is Judge Scalia. I don't know if you heard anything about.
Well, we'll get into those.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to be talking Scalia. Let me finish a couple things on WikiLeaks. We'll keep people, give them a reason to listen
Well, see,
to.
that's the issue too with WikiLeaks is that the people it needs to get to are so programmed that they think that they're the ones.
That's another conspiracy.
That are fake.
Oh, that was cool.
Sorry about
Nice.
I'm like, maybe we're just meant to have a break right now.
Yeah, right on.
Just a few other things you guys might find interesting about WikiLeaks. So Julian Assange comes out with this whistleblowers platform, where people can trade and dump information. They can access it. All the secrets of the world further disappear. It's not like he's putting things up you can't find anywhere else. He's just putting them in one place. This is what I mean.
Right.
There are no secrets between the Russians and the Americans. A lot of the things they're talking about are things we've been talking about on this show for a year now. No surprises here, but this is a recognized organization. They've got over 10 million documents that they've put out and or videos, other forms of media. 100 plus of the world's biggest media agencies use it. WikiLeaks has been cited in over 28,000 academic papers and court documents. So it's legitimate. And I think this is the spiritual counterpunch to the media clampdown that's been happening in this world and getting tighter and tighter over the last 60 years. So self-funded by the guy. Now it's a community-funded. I like that. No big corporations are swaying the opinions of him. Assange, right after he comes out with this thing, is thrown under house arrest in England because obviously this is going against the elite. And then, as usual, they use the old... What did they bring him up on?
Rape charges in Sweden.
It's always so dirty that even if you're innocent, no one ever wants to deal with you again. It's the oldest trick in the book by the oldest conspiracy in the book, to blame other people for the very things that they're doing all the time behind the scenes. So he's under arrest, and he finally gets asylum from the Ecuadorian embassy in London. So I guess he packs his bags up, goes a few blocks down the street, moves into the embassy where he is to this day. Wiki got really famous in 2010 because it was through Wiki that we found. Have you guys ever seen that video of, I don't know if it's Iraq or Afghanistan, but they're on a helicopter and there's a crowd of people talking, and they know that one of them might be an insurgent or something along the lines, and that I'm sad to say this as an American, but the Americans that can be heard on the video, they're like laughing as they're shooting into this crowd, and we're hitting innocents, and they shot 2 reporters from Reuters, and Wiki is the one that exposed that, and many, many other things that we ourselves talk about or warn about on this show. They've got a staff of 100 people. They are
just that John Kerry had his internet access cut 2 days ago. Did you hear that?
Oh, John Kerry asked the Ecuadorian embassy to shut him down.
And they did.
And they did. But he's back up and running. So
now, why would John Kerry do that?
Because I wonder.
All right. Why don't we take a break? When we come back, we're going to talk about just some unbelievable... Well, it's not unbelievable to us, but the fact that there's now paper evidence of this makes it feel kind of good. You guys are going to be shocked when we come back.
Welcome back to Down the Rabbit Hole. We're talking WikiLeaks and sheep and blind people.
Sheep.
Kinds of fun stuff. We've got Dave's sister Nancy in here.
Our audience is not sheep. Our target audience is the sheep.
We're talking about the sheep.
I don't have a sheep, but I have...
It's the same thing, dude.
They were out of sheep that day.
Hey, who was that sexy voice on that cave ad? We got to get them to do some Down the Rabbit Hole.
That was me.
That was him, dude.
That was me, dude. I know I have an amazing voice.
He's all over it.
You've got a good radio
That was
voice.
sultry, dude.
He's got
Yeah.
a presence.
Sultry.
Thank you.
So, you guys know I was...
Kind of moist.
I know Moo is.
No, the voice. You know,
Yeah.
the night was moist.
It was
Never mind.
the night was damp. The night was sultry.
Damp is better. Moist.
The night was moist. We're making fun of a movie. If anyone knows what movie, free beer from me.
No
Okay.
idea.
Throw Mama from the
You
train.
can call in at 313-879.
They could- they're-
It
They
is
don't-
throw Mama from the train.
They couldn't even get close to our game.
No.
Just so you know.
No.
We'll
Dude,
play-
I'm still hurting. You got me on Tim Curry.
I downloaded that movie last night.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Great movie.
Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red
Red
October.
Good movie.
Rocky Horror Picture Show is
Well, I'm the only reason I said you said Tim Curry and Tim.
That's the first thing you think of.
Well, because they're re-releasing it.
Yeah.
I know. I
They're
I
re-
saw an ad for
and
it this week.
he's got a cameo in
Yes,
it
he
or
does.
some crap.
Yeah.
So
Does.
he's
So-
like very sick, like ill sick.
Like, what's wrong with him?
Cancer.
Ugh.
something,
Oh, really?
Who knows?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I like the last time I saw a picture of him. Someone was like, because we were talking about him, because he was in that. He plays like in Criminal Minds. He plays like this really crazy serial killer dude for a couple episodes, and it was only a few years ago. And someone's like, "Have you seen him lately?" And no, I Google him. I was like, "Oh shit,
Huh.
he's not in good shape."
That's
Yeah.
Oh, he had a stroke.
Ah.
That's what it was.
That is too bad.
That wasn't. I was about to segue do a sidebar for
ouch.
10 seconds because I got a picture of
That's not happy.
the reason everyone's sick is you can pass that around if you want. That was a photo. I took that photo on like Wednesday morning this week, maybe a few days ago.
Yeah.
Chemtrails.
Total chemtrail sky.
Chemtrails everywhere.
And I'm usually up at night, so I know, airplanes aren't flying in and out of Detroit Metro Airport usually between 1 and 6 a.m. But like one day a week, and I guess it's Wednesday nights or Tuesday nights in the Detroit area, I hear jets all night long leading up into the early morning daylight. And then I actually
Yeah.
was in a position to photograph it for once. Whatever.
Damn chemtrails.
Whatever.
That's probably somewhere in WikiLeaks, I would guess. So I was excited to have my sister on because she has started to see some of the themes in the exposing of these conspiracies. And by calling them conspiracies makes it sound like there's maybe a modicum of lack of truth there. Not the case at all. So she started seeing some of those things and has always been very politically astute. And she was actually showing me some stuff about Hillary long before some of the WikiLeaks revelations that we're going to talk about. And they're not all about Hillary. There's many things that have been talked about in there. But one of them, and I think you were starting to bring this up, Nancy, tell us about Judge Scalia.
Well, I saw in WikiLeaks how they described 3 days before he died. They were talking about the weekend that he was going to be going away. And they mentioned the word wet works.
This was a John Podesta email.
Yes.
Now, who's John Podesta? Do you guys know who that is?
Yeah.
He's the
Campaign.
head of Hillary's campaign.
And he said, everyone better buckle down. It's going to be a hard weekend. We know wet works doesn't mean swimming at the vineyard. And he was at a vineyard away that weekend, Judge Scalia, and he died. No autopsy. Okay, we know that.
Well, they said
And
he died of a
cremated him.
heart attack.
Well,
and
he
the
was-
that was determined over a telephone call.
Correct.
And you can only determine heart attack by actually opening up the body.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one sign that this wasn't a natural death.
And
but keep going.
I'm sure it was something planned so Obama could select a new Supreme Court justice, which we won't, or the Congress won't allow him to do that right now. And I think there's a lot of I don't know if there is a lot of evidence, but I think it's something worth looking at. Don't you think?
Well, I read that, and what stood out to me in the beginning is it starts off with the sentence, "I'm all in."
Yep.
And then goes into talking about wet works, which is code name for assassination.
Assassination.
I think if they don't know that, that's what it is. and then describes the pool next to the vineyard. It's 3 days before he died. Of course, it doesn't actually name him in the document I read, but you could read into it, and there's probably more. As soon as I heard that he died, that was my first gut feeling was, they finally took him out.
Yeah,
So that was
mine
3
as well.
days before he died?
Yeah, 3 or
And it
4 days
described
before that email came
where
out.
he was, and you guys are
Kinda.
sitting there going, I mean, did it say, and his name rhymes with Palia?
No, it wasn't even that obvious, right? It's definitely speculatory. It's definitely circumstantial.
It would be admitted in a court of law, but could be picked apart by
there's really
defense attorney.
Okay.
But again, the timing, and there was no other assassinations in that time frame.
I
So
don't even remember the details. And Nancy, you might have been the one that said, "Hey, Scalia died." Do a quick, because these days there are so many on the ground alternative journalists, and I don't necessarily call ourselves journalists, but we'd probably be in that category somewhere, where that's where you go to get information. You don't get it from the mainstream media because they're going to just do you did have a heart attack, see? So within a few days, it was obvious that this was a contrived murder. And while I was doing research for our show on 9/11 predictive programming, do you guys remember the cartoon I showed you that predicted Scalia was going to be killed?
Mm-hmm.
Family Guy, I think, which seems to predict so many other things, like Bruce Jenner turning into a woman, Donald Trump
if he
running
wasn't
for
a hardcore
president.
conservative, I might think he had an inside line.
So, Nancy, you were talking about how you'd come across this information. So, like because I remember I said he was murdered, and you did one, and you're like, okay, Dave.
Actually, Dave, it wasn't like that. I called you right away. I go, he was murdered.
Oh, did you tell me?
Yeah,
okay.
in February.
He was like, whatever.
And I said,
He
Dave,
was like,
he's dead. And you go, I think he was killed. I go, probably. We'll look into it. Let time take its course, and we'll see what happens. Because I thought it was odd he would end up dead with a pillow over his head, and no one calls for a autopsy, and he's cremated immediately.
Yeah, no known health issues,
None.
actually.
He had a good 10 more years.
Whole thing was shady.
Scalia was I looked up to him, like when I was in law school. I loved reading his cases, and I was bummed, to hear that he died. And I looked, as soon as I read the circumstances, I thought the same thing. I thought, does anybody not see that this just stinks?
But no one will investigate it
You know.
yet. And we probably won't be able to because...
Look, the
According
same
to this,
way-
I'm reading this right here, and they said that Soros is involved in this.
Soros is involved in
Absolutely.
everything.
So,
Everything.
and they're saying it was George Soros' personal henchman that may or may not have carried this out.
Well, Soros, he's got all of the outwardly descriptors and criteria. He would be a member of the ruling elite, the
Right.
people
Oh, yeah,
we
for
call the Illuminati, the Synagogue of Satan, whatever. He poses as a
That
Jew.
0.0001%.
Well, he is publicly he's Jewish. He's a Zionist Jew, but he really behind the scenes, I suspect. I don't know with certainty about him because his name hasn't been mentioned by some of the insiders. But Trump's talking about him all the time. That he most likely is one of the members of these people that praise Lucifer.
And he gives a lot of money to Hillary, as we know.
Oh yeah, they're all one. They're one tight knit family behind. It's the World Wrestling Federation behind the scenes.
And who was the guy that owns the ranch where Scalia died?
I don't know. It was called... I forgot the name of it.
The
Who
guy
does?
that owns... I can't remember his name, but the guy that owns that ranch. And he was actually... Scalia was actually gifted a free trip there. It was a gift.
Yeah.
The guy that owns that place is one of Obama's biggest donors.
John
Yeah.
Poindexter.
Yeah.
Poindexter.
That's right.
How could I forget that name?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But anyway, yeah. So the whole thing reeks. And anything surrounding these people reeks. They're so slimy. It's unbelievable.
Look, our protection is numbers because the more people that are doing this, they just don't have the resources to shut everyone up anymore. Because their first option isn't to start killing people; it's to make us give up, make the computers go down, and get hit with tax bills. Eventually, they'll shoot you.
Yeah, they'll have
kill
to
you
because
if you don't shut up with a. And there are now so many people doing that you're protected in numbers. Now, their protection is also in numbers. They've got so many crimes they've committed. Where do we start?
Nah.
I mean, do we do Scalia knowing that 9/11 is still an unprosecuted murder of Americans?
They'll never be able to prove it, dude.
You can prove it. You just might not
live.
You'll never get a hearing in a
well,
in
no
a
one
court.
will. No one will go to prison for this. The Scalia thing. No one will go to prison for that ever. These people will never be held accountable for it. It's so mucky and murky that they'll never be able to finger point anybody for this thing.
Well, they'll
never
possibly be held accountable by one party, and they for sure will be held accountable by a second. The first possible one is the American people, and the fact that we own guns scares the hell out of these people, because you get a few million people together armed marching towards some guy's house. People, that literally is our last line of defense. And at the end of the day, if it's not here on Earth, they're going to have to answer to somebody. I'm just wondering, are we going to be able to sit in the stands? Well, according to the Bible, the Senate, the rulers of the world will kneel at our feet. It is going to be one of the parts of their judgment for having deceived so many people. So that's one of the things I kind of look forward to, if you understand what I'm saying.
I don't know if I want to see any of that. It's going to be
No,
so
I just
bad.
am.
It is. It's going to be so bad. You guys.
But don't see. This is the part about where I'm going to be honest about being a Christian, which I don't even like the term. I believe in Jesus Christ, that he was the Son of God and he was crucified for our sins, and he's the only way to get to heaven. But beyond that, I want vengeance, man. I'm pissed off. Maybe this is going to get me damned, but there is an eagerness to have these really destroyers of the world
held accountable,
humiliated in front of everyone that they
Well,
led astray.
I think maybe
That's not revenge, though.
I think
Well,
that
what-
it could be
whatever-
justice.
It's justice.
Yeah, whatever it is, but
Retribution.
It just sounds better.
I'm not. I will. I don't know if I'll ever be this way, but I wouldn't be the kind of person that would be like, "Well, I'm going to pray for their souls." There's so many
supposed
other
to
people
be.
whose souls I'd want to pray for. I'll never have time for people that are actually trying to destroy your soul.
Those are the ones you're supposed to pray for.
I know
first.
but we're people, so it's hard.
I know.
By the way, Hooper, there's a verse in the Bible. If you say you don't like to use the word Christian, in Acts 24:14 it says, "However, I admit that I worship the God of our ancestors as a follower of the way, which they call a sect. I believe everything that is in accordance with the law and that is written in the prophets." And the word "way" is capitalized. And Jesus said, of course, "I am the way, the truth, and the light." So back then, they called themselves followers of the way. They didn't call themselves Christians. It was the people that were persecuting them, put that name on them, which is interesting because they thought Jesus' last name was Christ. Like, Mary and Joe
The
Christ.
Christians?
Yeah, the Christ family, and so they became Christians, but it was a derogatory term. But those guys wore that term with a badge of honor because
Still is a derogatory.
well, and that's why we really should embrace that term. But I hear Christians say, "I'm a follower of the way, man," because they don't want to get tied in with the people standing on the corner judging you, saying you're going to hell, trying to smash you over the head with the Bible, But
Right, because you are, thanks to our social media or our mass media programming, a few words like that, like Christian, are shut down words. People just stop listening.
yeah.
Did you have something to say, Eric? No. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Another horse shack. Yeah, the secret shadow government that we always reference in this show, that we give quotes all throughout history. 6 presidents have talked about these guys. I found a new CIA whistleblower this week, a guy named Kevin Shipp. You familiar with him?
Actually, I've heard that name.
He, it's kind of funny, this juxtaposes well, but, out of one side of the mouth of the ruling elite, we've passed a law called, I think it was called the Whistleblowers Act in 2012, which is supposed to provide protections for people reporting on high-level crimes. And then on the other side of Hillary Clinton's mouth, in public, she is suggesting a drone strike on Julian Assange to kill him.
Right.
And this Kevin Shipp guy, who used to be with the Central Intelligence Agency, broke down absolutely how the shadow government works and how it keeps it secret. And he exposed the pressure they put on insiders. Because everyone, when you go to work for the CIA, FBI, NSA, any sort of intelligence, so we've got over 2 million. Someone said as high as 8 million, but I don't see that number. We've got 2 million agents with a top secret security clearance, which, I've seen this I've seen this in my personal life, in my own social media accounts, where now it's pretty easy to spot who some people call them trolls or shills, or a lot of our intelligence agencies are actually working online. Like, I could see them, and as I came across that, I'll show this, Howard, you can see it. This was just a few days ago. It was talking about how alternative media sites are trolled by the CIA in this massive propaganda program, where they've got hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people. Like, our tax dollars are paying people to go screw up the truth, the same way Hillary's campaign was paying people to go screw up Trump's campaign. It's the same MO that's used over and over. And it is this is just one of the only ways to fight it, is to wake up and become aware of it.
Speaking of the truth, when Obama was talking about the alternative media, Julian Assange, to Breitbart, what he said was, he was talking about, we need to buckle down on this stuff, and he said, but it's not censorship. We, the government, just need to create a way to tell everyone what is reliable.
What's your take on that?
Well, my tweet was, translation, we, the government, can't have people questioning what we decide the truth is.
Right. Yeah. It's funny, but that's one of the things that motivated Gore Vidal, was that he saw that's
what happens with a lot of these guys who come out with this stuff. They've had enough. The way the government works, not everybody sees the big picture. You have to be super high up to see the big picture, and that's part of how they pull it off, because everybody's only knows a piece of the puzzle they're working on. But once these guys see something that's so disgusting to them, that's when they start to send this information to Julian Assange.
Yeah, and he probably provides the best legitimate protection for a whistleblower.
Legitimate.
Because
he's legitimate.
He is without a doubt legitimate.
Absolutely.
He actually goes to, he and his staff, they don't just put anything up. Not to say WikiLeaks couldn't be used for disinformation.
Absolutely.
Because all it is a medium. Eventually, all mediums get corrupted. And, the dark side will adjust to this. If they use the MO they've used throughout history, they will flood Wiki with so much lousy information that it becomes nothing more than our mainstream media, mostly BS with a few nuggets of truth. Maybe a local station did someone saw an aircraft in the sky. But you'll never get all of our mainstream media to report on that simultaneously.
Right.
Well, they will one day. And it will be on the, believe me, and they'll come out strong with it. That's, we talk a lot about that day that's coming. So,
you were talking about Kevin Shipp, the CIA guy, who I think people are afraid to be whistleblowers now.
Well, yeah, and so he talked about all the different types of deterrence that an individual has. They start off when you get one of those jobs, you sign this agreement that basically says you're waiving all your rights. So if you'll never be able to sue us, you'll never be able to go to court, that stops 99% of people right there. First of all, 70% are like, whatever, dude. This is where I get my paycheck. I don't care what they want me to do.
I get better pay here, so I got a government job.
Now, of the ones that care, 99% of them, they're not going to risk their lives, their family, because they see what happens to the Phil Schneiders and the Chip Tatums and these guys get murdered. Their families get wiped out in one fell swoop. They're thrown in prison for, child molestation or rape, or that's a pretty big deterrent. Like, you got to have a lot of guts if you're going to go up against your former employee, the CIA, knowing that because you know what the water cooler talk is. So
yeah, well,
he's a hero in my mind.
While researching WikiLeaks, after we were talking about it, I actually found, I don't think it was a WikiLeaks article, but it was on it was like a sidebar on a site that I was researching about WikiLeaks, and it was about Putin coming out and saying that he had evidence that Princess Di was murdered by the royal family. And I believe it's because she was gonna.
I believe it's because she was murdered by the royal family.
No, because
she was gonna marry the Arabic man.
Yeah, but she was also gonna expose something in Africa.
Dodi Fayed.
Yeah, Fayed was the guy.
She could have exposed a lot.
But she was going to expose something, and I want to say it had something to do with Africa, and I honestly don't remember. I didn't include that in my show.
She had credibility. Anyone, when you get to like her level, a John Lennon level.
She knows.
She knows. There are totally unvetted, but in the 5 years I've been doing conspiracy research, now I just didn't have a big interest in the royals in and of themselves, outside of the implications of them being bloodline descendants of the emperors of Rome, and now they're part of the hidden Rome, which was predicted 2,000 years ago. I don't really care about the workings and the financial status of the queen, but I know she's one of the most powerful people on the planet, in the world. So I'm sure Lady Di was a big problem for them.
No, the whole time.
And, again, there'll never be a trial. We'll never know with certainty. But I think she was murdered from the opinion I came to over the course of the years. And they were very interesting. Long before I'd linked this up to the Bible and the seed of Satan still on earth. In fact, I thought this was ruining the credibility of real conspiracy journalists, because some of them were put out an article that Lady Di had seen Queen Elizabeth essentially go reptilian on her and basically say, look, you get your, I can't do my British accent right now, but I don't even know what it would be.
How dare you?
Yeah. She could get your, you're going to be dead and worse if you... And this freaked Lady Di out, and she told this to a couple of her friends. I mean, who's going to believe that if they ever saw it? Freaky. Right. But that one I still myself have not been able to get my arms around, because it's so far that that is on a science level. Because it's so far from everything that's still the programming in my head. But like I said, I now trust what's written in that book, even if it makes no sense to me. And there are several passages where Jesus and some of the prophets go out.
It's proven itself to be reliable in so many
that's just it.
Instances over and over and over again. So if there's something that doesn't seem right to me, it's because I can't understand it.
Well, now it makes sense. If the book says, look, there are going to be these hybrid type humans, they're going to look like you guys, they're going to be... Satan's seed mixed with human seed, they're going to be the ones in power. You don't see that unless you really start looking. But you hear a story where Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth goes reptilian on somebody, that person loses their credibility. And these people are so outrageous that it keeps real... Like, an honest journalist might actually keep that out of a story, knowing full well that if I print that, I will have no credibility. So they're already working from confinement on how much truth they can expose, because the full truth is almost unhearable at first. Like it took. I mean, you guys are all in. Are you guys all adjusted to this now? Are you guys still dealing with the?
No, I'm pretty well adjusted to it.
Yeah.
What are your? So we're going to talk.
That's why I can't get bent out of shape about anything anymore. Like even this election, because we know how this is all going to be.
Right. I know.
Okay?
Yeah.
So I can't even get in a twist about any of it, which is good.
That is good. I'm not. I kind of still have a.
If someone other than Hillary wins, I'm going to be psyched.
Blood pressure issues sometimes.
I'm going to be psyched, man.
Well,
if she wins, it's just going to be like, okay.
You guys remember a few weeks back when we discussed that one of those internal plans that I'd come across was, all the different ways to keep Obama in office, which is their plan.
What are you doing over there, Ken?
Yeah, Kenny.
Sorry.
So
I'm trying to get you guys podcasts.
That's how the devil works, my friends.
See that?
I just got all your podcasts up, by the way, so you guys are all
Thank
caught
you.
up.
Thank you.
That's what I was busy doing. My bad.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
The media says Clinton's winning. All the polls say Clinton is winning. What's another measure that we could use? How about social media?
Yeah, I loved your Facebook thing, Dave.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about it.
Do
She was
please.
reading some on the way up here, and I'm like, we should pull it out and read a couple right now.
To make myself feel better, I go to Hillary Clinton's Facebook page. And the insults that...
Give us a framework, because I can go find insults on Trump's page.
No, you have to compare the two, because even people say...
What are the different... What do you see in both campaigns?
Everyone loves Trump. His huge supporters, way more. I hate to say this, he has twice as many followers. And then you see Hillary, and I've been seeing her page now for 8 months, and the same people respond to back her up. Her paid trolls, we'll say.
Right.
And it's insult after insult against her. So And I know Trump, he doesn't have the money she does for his campaign to do this. And quite frankly, I just feel that social media is more for Trump. And to me, that is a better indicator.
Yeah, it's a good barometer, because the activity on his...
But they're using mainstream media to make all of Trump supporters believe that they are in the minority, so that when they rig the election and Hillary wins, we don't have a revolt.
Well, they've been telling us for a while now it's over.
Right.
Right, essentially. It's over. Forget it. All the headlines I see that, the Trump game's over.
Yeah,
they want a John Dewey replay.
And that's
That stupid skit on Saturday Night Live, they declared Hillary Clinton the winner.
Right there. I saw that too.
Even, fake Hillary even took the page. It's like, wow.
It's just, that's how it works. That's why I say, you know what? I'm going to pray hard about it, and I'm going to watch it, and I'm probably going to go to bed that night very disappointed, because I just fully expect.
I don't think I'm going to watch it.
I'll watch it, dude. I have to. It's like a bad car wreck. You got to look.
We'll know early on. Well, I will.
You got to look. You can't look away.
Well,
I always watch them.
I can't watch. When my career was politics, I suffered too many heartbreaks. I'm done,
I've had now a few in a row, so I'm kind of
I expect to be disappointed again. But
look, if God's really behind Trump,
I can't in good conscience watch her do a victory speech. I can't do it.
Well, I won't listen to that, but I'll watch the results, right? I mean, it gets over a certain point, it's over.
If you take a basic statistics course in college or anywhere and sit back and look at what happens on election night, we've got over 3% of the precinct reporting, and we are declaring precinct, 987 Clinton precinct.
Right.
You can't make that assertion. Right. No, anywhere near there.
Mathematically impossible.
Because the swing, what's the word I'm looking for? The margin of error is so high. You can't predict what the next 97%.
Even if 90% of that 3% was there, you have to have 100% of the vote in to declare 100%, a winner of whatever. And that's why I don't ever like that, because What year was it when Gore won?
2004.
He didn't win.
2000.
He did,
When there
but
was
he did though. He
It was
did.
But yeah, he probably did. Right.
He did win. You know what I mean?
No, he
And-
actually got more votes than.
Yeah,
He
and
got
that's
the
what this is
popular
all
vote.
about. Which is why the fuck are we even doing this? Excuse my French.
No,
But
that's
why are we even voting then? Because if we don't have a choice, then why are we even voting? Why does it matter what we do? And I'm
Love
just
your
being the
passion.
devil's advocate here. I'm not
Well,
trying to.
that's part of the system. That's a Hegelian dialect.
Right, so-
we have two candidates to pick from. We have freedom.
They
North
make it
Korea
think
has
like
one.
we have
They're-
freedom, but we don't. If the
Exactly.
electoral college votes, then why in the F on November 8th do we go to the polls? Why don't we just not show up?
No, we could just email our representative in the electoral college.
You know, I hate saying that, dude. I love this country and I love everything that
I'm with
this,
you,
this
bro.
country stands for, but I'm fucking pissed, dude.
I hear
This
you.
shit's
I'm
got
with
me
you.
fucking steaming, dude. And
Bring
again, I'm
it.
sorry. Edit all these F-bombs out, man.
No, that's fine, dude. You've got
No,
passion.
Bring it, man. I love the passion.
Yeah, I think
Bring it.
Eric's in the anger stage.
Eric,
Yeah.
here's the thing. Whether it's right or wrong, I'm not
past it.
defending it. I'm just
Right. Yeah,
answering
me
your
too. It's
question.
shrug.
The reason why we have the electoral college is to balance out very populous states as opposed to sparsely populous states, right? Because
doesn't make any sense,
California would basically decide our president every presidential election. Do you want California
Well,
picking our
here's-
president every year? I don't.
what you can't
You know.
have, and I will defend it because you can't have mob rule. So, in a true democracy, which we're not, and we don't ever want to be, trust me on this.
exactly, and that's all they go democracy.
Because
but
once
we're
you
supposed
get
to be a republic.
it's too easy to buy elections. So once you get to 51%, it doesn't
Technically,
matter with the other 49%.
True.
I mean, in a true democracy,
True. Yeah.
you could have a room with 10 people in it,
As soon as 6
and
say,
9 of the people
Yeah.
say the 10th person's ugly. That makes them ugly. Or in a true democracy, they could vote to kill that person because they're ugly. Well, everyone voted, so it's dangerous. That's why we have that, and really, it should be representative. That's a whole other topic, whether it's mathematically representative, which it's not anymore. But those people are supposed to represent their
Right.
individual
I found
districts.
it a privilege. When I turned 18, I was excited. I got to
Yeah,
vote
I
finally.
voted in every election.
And I have
since I was
too
18.
since then. You know, 1991, I think I turned 1990. So every election after that, I voted, and I don't want to vote.
Well, here's the thing.
This
Everyone,
year.
and this
I
is
don't.
also part of the, in my mind, part of the ongoing deception. Everyone is always just when you register to vote and you're talking about voting, everyone's always talking about voting in the presidential election every 4 years.
Right, and that's not.
But the real election.
Well, the real elections that everyone should be participating in are all the local
Congress, the local Congress.
Exactly. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
But we've lost sight of everything so far that it's you know.
If you put it on Facebook or you put it on that TV, 95% of the people are going to believe whatever you put
This
on
is
there.
clear, yes.
That 5%, and maybe it's not 95%, but it's a lot. The percentage is
Yeah.
ridiculous. The sheep that you just talked about are everywhere.
Well,
and it's just-
93%, right there.
Well, I don't know how many. Look, we've got over half the country that now does not believe the 9/11 official story. There's so many shades of gray on this, but right now it is moving in the direction of people are waking. There's less sheep today than there were yesterday.
Right.
I mean, sheep-minded. A lot of people came to the conclusion, like, holy cow, there's something real going on here. What's up?
My boyfriend, I think, woke up. He voted for Hillary in the primary, and I said it's over. And take in mind, in Arizona, we had such issues with our primary elections. There were 3-hour lines because they shut down a lot of the voting areas because they didn't think they'd have this many people come out to vote, which they should have predicted it. And
Yeah, but they take care of that because they allow the media to get on there and start Arizona, 2% of the votes in, and, Clinton's going to win this state. So all the people that were going to vote for Trump,
this is
they're
the
like,
Democrat
why
primary.
am I even going now?
Well, he stood in line and voted for Hillary, and now he's voting for Trump.
How did you not kick him out of the house?
I honestly, I was pretty mean to him, and
that That got him to change his
I
vote.
belittled. I would say things in front of people. I'm like, he voted for Hillary.
Good for you.
And he's like,
Shame
shut
him.
up. I shamed him.
Well,
Shame.
Shame him into doing
in the
what's right.
primary.
Shame.
So what was his choices in that primary?
Just Bernie, not Barry. I was going to
Okay.
say Barry Sanders, Bernie Sanders.
So, given that decision, that criteria, given that Bernie is an out of the closet communist,
I'm surprised he even stood in line for 2 hours.
well, I'm wondering why he's voting in a Democratic primary anyway.
Well, he's a registered Democrat.
Well, that's a big problem.
And but he now he's voting Trump.
That's a big problem.
And it was a big he voted Romney too, because I was with him and I really spied on his
Good
ballot.
for you.
But he knew Obama was bad. He was making our country not the country we wanted. But he has changed.
Long before I knew any of this, all I knew was I disliked Mitch Romney because he's right out of Bain Capital.
Yeah,
Those are the
totally.
dudes that stole $500,000 from my company to shut us down.
Well, take in mind, 4 years ago, you were just starting on your,
6 years ago now.
Well, you were
5.
starting on your journey, and now I'm very aware and open to what you have said and have done. Honestly,
So WikiLeaks. Any other points you guys wanted to close out before we
Keep going, man.
do some? So a few things that are interesting. WikiLeaks has been tried to be shut down by so many organizations. It was laughable. Department of State, FBI, Department of Defense, Defense Intelligence Agency, CENTCOM, U.S. Army, Cyber Command, the Department of Justice, tons of them. Little note to myself. I guess I'll read it since I'm here, but this wasn't. Today, our country's top journalists have dropped from esteem. They're nothing more than tratorious puppets who've sold their soul and forgotten the Constitution that made us. So really, right now, in a lot of ways, it's Julian Assange against the entire Illuminati. I mean, he's getting beaten up in the media or ignored. He's got the intelligence communities of several nations trying to shut him up. He's got the militaries of several nations, and he's living. Who do you think might be helping him along, by the way? So some of the things that we learned about through WikiLeaks, NSA. This would have been the Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about that case?
Oh, yeah.
I kind of kept away from it, but I'm learning more. They got that movie coming out, so I like to be up on.
Well, yeah, because they're going to get control.
No. I saw the movie, the preview at a movie I went and saw, and I've heard about it. But I like to be educated before I start to talk about something. And I'm reading about it, and I mean, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's scary as hell that the NSA, going back probably 20 years, has been collecting information on every single American individual. This is before terrorism was even like a thing.
Right.
And today, and it still it's been exposed, but it didn't stop.
No.
It still goes on. And when I say it's not that they're accessing some database on the internet to find out what websites you visited. I mean, that's easy information. All of your phone calls are recorded and just automatically put into a database that's tied to your name. Every email you send, every text you receive, probably regular audio conversations, because their ability to listen in is, hey, Jay, their ability to listen into there's almost nothing that can stop them. So we found out that the NSA was, very Nazi-esque, spying on their own people. That's where most of the intelligence work goes. We learned from our caller that John Podesta, the famous guy we were just talking about, seems to have some sort of links to the death of a U.S. Supreme Court justice. The murder of a Supreme Court justice. And other factions in our government are about to come to power that were involved in that murder. Like, you don't think we're at that third world banana republic?
Oh, yeah.
This argument, Trump shouldn't put Hillary in like hell he shouldn't. you should be held to a higher standard if you're running for the presidency, not be given a pass on murder and treason. I'll tell you what, if I got a subpoena and they wanted 30,000 of my emails and then I went and destroyed them after I'd gotten the subpoena, I fully expect to be in jail.
You'd be in prison.
And I fully...
Yeah, it's just it's a crapshoot of whether
You'd
it's
be
a
in prison.
longer period of time than if they found what was in those 30,000.
Right.
And if you think for yourself, who gives an F if the world thinks we're a third, but some banana republic? Who cares? If someone commits a crime, president or not, I think they should go to prison. And I actually fist pumped when Trump said, Hillary
wasn't
made
that the reason we went into Iraq?
What?
Because Saddam Hussein was committing crimes against people, and we had to get rid of him.
Weapons
Maybe
of mass
Bush should have invaded
destruction.
Arkansas.
Look, you can't trust. I used to go around going, well, Saddam Hussein, tested poison on 5,000 of his people. But you know what I've come to since I used to say that, I learned.
Oh yeah,
my government has tested poison on a lot more. I mean, we have murdered more. And I'm not talking just.
Well,
9/11.
we were programmed back then, man. I cheered for them to go into Iraq. I was a moron. I was totally
I don't think
programmed.
he necessarily was a murderer. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he wasn't a good guy, but you know what? Neither's Obama. He was running his own country. You know what? Let him run his country. Let's worry about ours.
Thank you.
Because until we're milky white, totally clean over here, we should stay out of everybody else's business.
Yeah. Look,
But apparently we found weapons of mass destruction there, which we never did.
No, we never. They claimed that's why we needed to go in there. Now, again, the fact that plans to seize the Middle East have been in the works for 150 years, you need to understand that the reasons given to us on television today.
I'm sorry. I know what it was.
What?
Princess Diana wanted to recognize the Palestinians and go to bat for the Palestinians. That is why they had her killed.
Not to mention she's writing a dossier on all their romps.
Yeah. That's what it was, and it was a former MI6 agent.
I see that.
That
to
was
me,
at the press conference.
That to me smells of another cover story. I don't think.
Who knows?
I'm just telling you what I saw.
Because they got to keep you from the real story, which is the queen went reptilian on her or whatever, like the big one. Because they'll allow you to think anything. They will allow you to believe in Jesus Christ, to believe Satan is real. I mean, just believing Jesus is real is not your ticket into heaven. I mean, Satan himself believes he's real. So it goes back to, it's like that metaphor. We're in a big-ass prison, and there's 1,000 exits. And all of these exits has flashy signs like, oh, your ticket out of this prison, come through here, come through here. And Jesus Christ is guarding one door. That is it. And there are a lot of doors that look exactly like his door, with one little exception, some disqualifier. So these people, at the end of the day, they don't care what you think as long as you don't have that critical piece to put the whole picture together. And so they get at the end, they just have to keep people out of the Bible, which is, at the end of the day, I mean, we all know how we feel about it. So for them to come out with, especially MI6 comes out with that story, because MI6 is the CIA here.
Right,
got the pyramid with the eye. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That sounds to me like, just on its surface.
I was just shocked because I thought everybody loved Princess Di.
I did. I felt it when she died.
I remember where I called my mother at 12:30 at night from a payphone at the bar and woke her up to tell her it devastated me.
It says a lot about the Hoopers, because I was at the bar too.
So I found out the next morning after being
at the bar
at a pig roast. At a pig roast.
I hope she died on a Saturday.
It was Labor Day weekend. It was around Labor Day weekend, because we were at a pig roast up north, and we showed up the next morning. And I remember waking up to my buddies, two of them, holding hands, puking off the porch. And I turned, that woke me up, and I turned the TV on. We were up north, turned the TV on, and the headline was Princess Di died. And it was like, whoa, what? She's 40-something years old. How'd she die? And then
36.
It was like car crash. She was only 36?
Yeah.
She's young.
How old was she when she married?
She was
20.
Yeah,
She was like
19.
11.
20.
Oh,
Probably,
11.
yeah.
Oh my
exactly.
gosh, I was in 5th grade when she married
Him.
him, and I just wanted
Teeth-
to be her.
teeth-
I remember the wedding.
I couldn't
The worst-
understand. Well, no.
The worst celebrity death for me by far was Kurt Cobain, because I had a roommate at the time, and he was mourning Kurt Cobain like you wouldn't believe. So I had to listen to Nirvana records
Oh, God.
for about 3 weeks straight until I put an end to it.
That's another death that was not a suicide when you look into the details of
A
that.
lot of those guys, Tupac. You know what I
No,
mean?
he was murdered.
Anyone-
No, it wasn't a suicide, but he was murdered. But I mean, do you think
What
he
the
was really
re-
murdered by the Crips? You
No.
know, the Bloods. You
No.
know
I
what
think
mean?
he was
No,
killed by
murdered
the
'cause that
elite.
was one of the most political people.
Yep.
He was
And he
our
was,
generation
he was talking about the Illuminati before anybody was.
It was
Yeah, Tupac was.
crazy.
He was telling the truth, man.
Have you guys ever seen Chris Rock talk about Tupac? Check that out. Just Google Chris Rock Tupac.
Yeah.
So funny.
Yeah, it rhymes.
Yeah, Forever 27.
Who?
You know what's funny is who just died? Someone. That Life came out with a special issue probably 3 or 4 months ago,
Prince.
but it was all the pictures of all the 27-year-old
Yeah.
Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix.
Kurt Cobain,
Amy Winehouse.
Winehouse. Yeah, she was legendary.
Like if you do the math on how many
They don't come
household
bigger than
names, there's only a few
James
thousand.
Dean, I think, was only 27.
I didn't
She-
even
think
know
she was
Amy
one
Winehouse was dead.
Really?
When she died, I was like,
Turn his
she's
mic
not-
on, will you?
He's he's over there.
Yeah. Or which one is she?
She's on. She can take 3. They're both on.
But what was I gonna say was crazy about that is that I've researched it, and that's went on throughout. Like, there's like violinists, like famous violinists in the 1700s that died at the age of 27. It's not like a new thing, which I thought it was, but I mean it goes on for
So
centuries.
28 would be a big birthday nowadays.
Well,
All
those
right, here
deaths,
we go. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Robert Johnson, great blues singer.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, the first one who said that he sold his soul to the devil.
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Ron Pigpen McKernan from the Grateful Dead was 27.
Does it surprise you that what was the lead singer's name? Jerry Garcia,
Jerry Garcia.
is now a known CIA agent. He had been for
Really?
most of his
I didn't
life.
know that.
That's like my favorite
Yeah, I've heard
musician
this
ever.
too.
Jerry Garcia is
I've heard that
CIA.
that's really why they stayed on tour all that time. But they were up to something. I don't know if it's. I
Well,
didn't vet it. I've heard
maybe
this.
that's on
That makes
WikiLeaks.
sense, then. They were using mind control to get people to go to
One
those
you were
concerts.
talking about, Alexander
LSD.
Levy. He was a composer and a pianist. Louis Chauvin. He was
Did you say he was a penis?
pianist.
Pianist.
Ragtime
Oh, my God.
musician in
I
1908.
have a
Robert
penis.
Johnson.
It's right over there.
There's there's a list of probably
It would make sense to me. Those would be
60 people?
special sacrifices. Those are, and
Yeah.
I mean, those probably go back as long as Satan goes back.
But what is it? You know, what is
There's a
it about
numerical.
27?
There's a numerical.
Who knows?
Why
What
that
is
number?
about that number?
Well, there's a guy, a defector from satanic groups. His name is Bill Schnoebelein or Schnoebelen. He's given several presentations. He breaks down. He ascended up through Freemasonry, and he's got all of his photographs and records. He's real. He's legitimate. And he had been offered, literally, a contract to sell his soul to the devil. And his contract had it that he was going to be given another 7 years to party. He'd have money. He'd have everything he needed. And then he literally knew his death date ahead of time. But that was going to be totally cool because then you're going to end up going to hell where it's an even better party
yeah.
for the rest of your life.
Heck yeah.
And he got really scared and nervous about this signing this agreement. It was literally in writing. And he ended up backing away, ended up putting it together. Holy cow, devil's not good. Jesus is real. He converted, came out talking about him. And like all defectors, the only ones that are alive or lived a natural life that isn't, got old like a regular person were the ones that embraced Jesus and basically said, he's real. Like, this is sort of interesting. Some other revelations about Wiki. I'm going to just go through a few because I can see we taking another break or we already taken
we're almost
break?
done. We only got 10 minutes.
John Podesta. I'm just going to kind of fly through these. I'll let the audience do their own vetting or if you guys want to ask, and I don't have a lot of details on this because there are so many. There's 10 million documents on there. Hillary's campaign manager, John Podesta, is fully aware that there are aliens in our skies. We learned that Obama does cocaine. Hillary has been involved in
Trump.
dozens of murders. We learned that the country of Qatar,
Quater.
Cater.
Guitar.
It's
Cutter.
It's Cutter.
It's Cutter.
welcome back, Qatar,
Whatever.
gave
I only know that because I said cater too when I first. Yeah.
Bill Clinton received a $1 million birthday gift
Yeah.
from the
Qatarian
Qatarian government.
Guitarian.
Sounds like
Sounds
like
Star Trekky.
Would that make you
Star
a
Wars,
guitarist
Star Trek.
if you live there?
Oh,
Dude,
he's got an
that and
acoustic
your penis
guitarist.
joke. Wait, can you turn his mic off for 5 minutes?
Ouch.
He's getting a timeout.
Ouch.
No, don't really
I
turn it
wouldn't.
off.
I didn't.
We need him talking. Okay. Hillary
I
involved
won't
in
do his
murders.
banners if he shuts me down.
So, okay,
Cool.
this $1 million gift to Clinton, most people shrug, eye roll these days, but let's just understand that wasn't just a gift. That was for something, which means that's bribery right there.
Yep.
And if you understand Qatar and what they do, they're one of the worst women's rights countries on the face of the earth. And they're also a hotbed for ISIS. Mm-hmm. So you've got the husband of who might be our president, who now has several links to promulgating ISIS. Oh, sounds kind of like how the same way they send counteragents into Trump's campaign, they would send ISIS agents into the United States to destabilize things a little bit. Mm-hmm. And don't think that's not
Trump
coming.
got on her about that last
What do you mean?
night, too.
Like all the bombers that have bombed the gay clubs and.
Well, that's the thing. I was having a discussion.
By the
with
way, I said bombers very.
yes.
He did show some
did
quoted
do
fingers.
the air quotes. That was I was having a conversation with somebody the other day about it. It's like that's what's so ludicrous about this whole thing is that with the bathroom issues and a lot of the gay rights that have been the hot topic for the last year, these people don't even realize they're being used. That's the worst part. They're being used because the real agenda is Muslims. If they take the people that are giving them their money, which are all these Muslim countries that are horrible on women's rights, and they get what they want here, which is they want Sharia law to be a real thing. They want them to be able to practice Sharia law. Guess what? Sharia law makes being gay a penalty or a crime that's punishable by death.
Well, they actually do kill
They
them.
kill them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they're just grabbing hands and singing tra la la on the way to the voting booths to put these people in there. These people are monsters.
Yeah.
Look, for me, how is it that a kid that is about to play NCAA football is scrutinized so heavily that even his extended family members are not allowed to receive a financial gift of over like $100?
Yeah.
And that, believe me, that is enforced. But a family that has been in the White House for 20 years
Well,
is
maybe
receiving bribes from nations all over the nation.
Well,
and
maybe we need to put the NCAA in charge of politics. And
they're I'm about to have an angry phase like Shalty was just having.
I hear you.
Because I'm pretty much now in the acceptance phase. First, most people are in denial. Then comes bargaining. Like, okay, so we allowed 9/11 to happen. That's bargaining. Then you realize, holy shit, we really just did it to ourselves. Then you go into many different. There's the 5 big stages of grief. You add in. Acceptance is the last stage. Bargaining, anger is near the end, or that's in the middle somewhere where you're just so angry you can't even
speak.
I went through that. Then there's depression. You get depressed for a while.
Isn't apathy after acceptance?
You don't care afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's
It's
part of the
desensitized.
depression.
I mean, I still do care, but nothing shocks me anymore.
And that's what I think. A couple years ago, I might not have thought this, but seeing your film and reading up about this and hanging out with Tony and doing the show with you guys, has opened my eyes to a bigger thing, and I think I'm at the point where you're at, Howard, where nothing bothers me anymore, because it does bother me. It gets me pissed off, and it makes me out, like I just did. But I don't let it affect my everyday life.
Right.
When we're talking about it, I get pissed because, it's just so infuriating. But I'm not going to let it bother me, because what are you going to do?
Yeah. Well, what bothers me the most is as I'm trying to get my point across to other people who are not, as accepting, who haven't found the one string that.
And that's all it takes is that one string.
Oh, yeah, one string
is all
one
it
string.
takes.
It's all it takes. But it's just so frustrating, beating my head against the wall, where they're thinking I'm crazy. And a couple of years ago, we were all on the same page. And it's like, what do you think happened to me? Did I lose my mind? Did I have an
when I
aneurysm?
first
Did I
met
have a
David, I'm
stroke?
not going to lie, I was like, yeah, this guy's a little weird, But then I got to know you a little bit better, and I confirmed that
he's
weird.
definitely is
He's
freaking
definitely
weird.
Definitely
But,
weird.
Still weird,
But seeing
but-
the movie, and then
And he hangs out with
But he
Al.
smokes pot.
Yeah, exactly. So that's cool. But seeing the movie, and then getting to know you a little bit better, and talking with you the few times that we did talk after the movie, and then doing the show with you for the first couple months or whatever, and then just like you said, don't believe us.
Yeah,
don't believe us,
man.
Open a damn book.
Yeah.
Research it. Do your own research. We can't convince you, but you can damn well convince
So
yourself.
who are you guys more mad at? Are you more mad at the Hillarys of the world that are behind this, or are you more mad at your fellow countrymen who are shrugging their
my fellow
shoulders?
countrymen.
My
for
fellow countrymen.
Hillary-
I'm
You can't get mad at a dog for being a dog.
Right.
Okay.
or a
Hillary
business
is
person for being a business
Yeah,
person?
Hillary is evil. I mean, she made that choice, okay? I'm not mad at her for being evil. She's doing what she thinks is right. I actually have a little bit of respect for the fact that she sticks to the script so well. Who I'm mad at is all of these people who look at it and dismiss it.
Well, it's always been
that's
that way,
what makes
though.
me...
I mean, people sat there and watched Jesus perform miracles right in front of them, and people will rationalize anything.
Yeah.
It was demons. that was
Jesus
he's
isn't
working.
real.
It's black magic. It's demons. When it's clearly not. But even in the face of evidence to where you watch this happen, people will still just not accept it. They won't. I mean,
now,
there's people
do you
that just
think
will never
that
do it.
is true human choice, or do you think that is a grain of sand towards determining? Because once you read the Bible, you understand we're not all God's children. That's like one of the biggest lies right out of the pits of hell. We're not all God's children. Satan's got children on earth. God's got his chosen. And there are a lot of people that have some decisions to make. But do you ascribe the ignorant people, the ones that... Do you think maybe there's something in their DNA that they're closer to...
I don't know. I never thought about it like that. I just think that it's human nature for some people. Sometimes even the truth isn't enough.
I go back to a sermon. I'm sorry, Nancy. I go back to a sermon that my pastor gave, and he was talking about kids. And he said that kids are born bad. And I think, well, we're always talking about the innocence of a child, okay? But if you think about it, you look at a child wants what they want, okay? They want the wants of the flesh. So being good is actually a learned behavior. You have to teach them right from wrong. That's why it's called teaching right from wrong. Because if you just give in to the flesh and do what your body and do what feels right, what feels good, what indulges you, you're not going to do good. You're not going to do good, at least not all the time.
Yeah, but every movie, television show, commercial that is on that screen is pushing us towards love yourself. Take care of yourself. Your husband's not good. Leave him. And we're just being brainwashed to becoming those folks. So we got, about a minute and a half?
Can I just share one
Two.
thing?
Yeah.
2 Corinthians 4:4, the God of this age, Satan, has blinded the minds of unbelievers so that they cannot see the light of the gospel that displays the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. And it takes the Holy Spirit to prompt you to be open, and boom.
Yeah, it's
In the
more than
meantime,
just
you're blinded by sin.
more than just research and intelligence. If you do not have the Holy Spirit with you, you will not be able to put this together. This is why God, he warned us against certain practices that keep a Holy Spirit from being in us. Looking at porn all day, doing drugs all day, drinking all the time.
Hey, what's wrong with that?
I know,
Hey,
you
hey,
just
hey.
killed my entire social
Freaking
life,
love
right?
porn, dude.
Dealing with the problem
Dave calls
myself.
that Monday.
Yeah, I call
Monday.
that.
Let's give Nancy.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nancy,
Yeah.
30 seconds. Any last thoughts? Anything?
I want everyone to go out and vote
For
the
Trump?
right-
Yeah.
Yes, for Trump. I can't believe he's even in the race, but he's in it. And he's going to be the only one who could honestly help us.
If Trump's alive and he's taking an oath on January, I believe, 17th, 18th, 19th, somewhere in there, I already know it, but that should be proof that there's a God. Because no one in this world, no institution in this world wants him. Everyone is working against him like they're working
This is an
Russia.
unprecedented all-out attack on a candidate.
Well,
ever.
Putin knows.
Russia.
He's very well aware of the New World Order. He cites the fact that, guys, we're up against Satan. The head of Russia says
And
this.
Putin came out today. He goes, if you elect Hillary, we're going to go to war.
We're going to have to
That's
go to war.
nice.
He goes, and if you elect Trump, there'll be peace. And he says it in his speech today.
And I'm riding
That's
a horse
nice.
without a shirt on.
Is that Anderson Cooper?
All right, everyone. Get good with Jesus. It sounds like a cliche, but it is your only way off this rock. Otherwise, I'll just say it. You're effed. So until next week.
This has been Down the
Great
Rabbit
show.
Hole.
Thank you
We'll
guys for
see you
letting me
next
hang out.
Thursday.
Oh, dude, I hope
Thank
you're back
you.
every week.
Thanks, Nancy. To God be the
you.
glory.
I
Great things he's
didn't-
done.